Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're deconstructing a massive, high-stakes military aviation incident out in Southern California. You know, when a premier piece of defense equipment literally falls from the sky, it sends shockwaves, not just through the local community, but really through the entire defense apparatus. Right out of the gate, this was the phrase echoing across breaking news coverage everywhere. An aircraft mishap involving an F-35B stealth fighter. Now, I know the word mishap kind of sounds like a simple mistake, right? Like, you spilled your coffee. But in military terms, especially when we're talking about a stealth fighter, a mishap is an absolute crisis. We're talking about one of the most advanced, highly classified pieces of machinery on the planet going down in a fiery wreck. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the incident at Miramar. Second, containing the crash aftermath. Third, the F-35B Lightning II. And finally, the costs of a mishap.
Starting off with Section 1, the incident at Miramar.
Let's walk through exactly how this crisis unfolded, strictly chronologically based on the official reports. So at approximately 10 a.m. local time, the F-35B aircraft crashes in Southern California. But crucially, right around the time of impact, the pilot makes the split-second decision to punch out and safely eject from the falling jet. For a few hours, the military goes into total lockdown mode, securing the site, until around 1 p.m. Eastern Time when the news finally breaks on national networks. Looking at this timeline, you can really see how rapidly a routine morning turns into a nationwide breaking news event. And we absolutely have to talk about where this happened, because the location is iconic. The jet went down at the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego, California. If that name sounds familiar, well, it's because Miramar is a major marine aviation base and the former home of the U.S. Navy's famed Top Gun fighter school. It's a massive, heavily trafficked military jurisdiction. Having a plane go down on this specific property in such close proximity to immense civilian populations is a huge deal. It immediately triggered an all-hands-on-deck emergency response. Moving right along to Section 2, containing the crash aftermath. Whenever a military aircraft goes down, the absolute first priority, before the plane, before the cost, before any kind of investigation, is the human element. And thankfully, we have immense relief here. The pilot ejected safely before the brutal impact. First responders were on the scene swiftly and recovered the pilot, who was immediately transported to a local medical facility and evaluated in stable condition with non-life-threatening injuries. When you see footage of a destroyed aircraft, the fact that the pilot walked away with non-life-threatening injuries is it's nothing short of a miracle of modern ejection seat engineering. But once the pilot was secured, the danger wasn't quite over. Just look at these containment steps. The jet crashed in a field right near major civilian roadways, Interstate 15 and Route 52. The fiery wreckage instantly sparked a secondary vegetation brush fire in the nearby grassland. You've got thick smoke billowing up. But emergency crews and firefighters rushed in, rapidly applied fire retardant, and successfully contained the flames entirely to the base property. They acted quickly, which is incredible news for a dry area like San Diego, completely preventing a much larger, potentially catastrophic wildfire from threatening the public. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. The F-35B Lightning II. Because, guys, this is not just any airplane. Manufactured by Lockheed Martin, the F-35B is a fifth-generation stealth fighter. It features a really sleek single-engine design, but what makes the B variant incredibly unique is its STOVL capabilities. That stands for short, takeoff, and vertical landing. It's specifically designed to operate from amphibious assault ships and much shorter runways. I mean, it can quite literally hover in mid-air and land vertically. It's an absolute marvel of modern aviation engineering. And here's the crucial point. This isn't some niche experimental aircraft. The F-35 Lightning II is the premier jet that is systematically replacing the military's older legacy fleets. We're talking about replacing those older fourth-generation aircraft like the famous F-15s and F-16s you've probably seen a million times. The F-35 is stepping in to be the ultimate, top-of-the-line backbone of U.S. aerial dominance for the next several decades. To put that into perspective, just look at the massive scale of this rollout across the military branches. The U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force collectively operate a shared fleet of more than 630 F-35 aircraft right now. They are deeply, deeply integrated into every major branch of the defense strategy. So when one of these jets goes down in a field in San Diego, it's an incident that impacts the entire structure of the U.S. military's operational readiness. Which brings us to Section 4, the costs of a mishap. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the specific military jargon used here when we zoom out to the macroeconomic level.
Friday's crash was officially designated as a Class A mishap. This is the military's absolute most serious accident category. It's only declared when an aircraft is completely destroyed, when property damage exceeds $2 million, or, tragically, if a service member is killed. Thankfully, as we established earlier, the pilot survived. But the total destruction of the airframe immediately triggers this severe classification.
And why is the total destruction such a big deal? Well, consider this number. $109 million. According to the manufacturer, Lockheed Martin, that is the estimated unit cost of a single F-35B jet. $109 million of cutting-edge, taxpayer-funded technology literally gone in a single morning. It's a staggering financial hit to absorb, even for the U.S. military.
But honestly, that number kind of pales in comparison to this one. $2 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T. A 2024 analysis by the Government Accountability Office reported that the overarching F-35 program is expected to cost nearly $2 trillion over its lifetime. It's a fascinating yet incredibly sobering data point to consider as we look at the wreckage in Miramar.
So we're left with the ultimate paradox of the F-35 program. On one hand, defense analysts confirm that despite incidents like this one in recent years, the F-35 remains one of the absolute most capable fighter aircraft in the world's fleet. It offers unmatched stealth, sensor fusion, and versatility. But on the exact same token, it stands as the single most expensive weapons program in U.S. history. Which leaves us pondering this final critical thought. When you have an aircraft this essential to the military's future, but carrying a price tag that almost defies comprehension, what does a $109 million Class A mishap mean for the future of the U.S. military's most expensive weapons program? How much financial risk is acceptable in the pursuit of absolute technological superiority? It's a really delicate balance between pushing the boundaries of defense and managing the immense cost to the public. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incident today. Keep asking questions, keep looking at the facts, and we'll see you in the next explainer.